My husband Cooper and I are faithful fans of one particular TV program, Jeopardy, which comes on at 7:30 every weeknight on CBS. Now, as you know, the contestants on the show are given the answers to questions, and they must come up with the right questions. We enjoy playing the game along with the contestants to see how much and how little we know. Let me say we're pretty good at history and literature, but totally ignorant of pop culture. Did you ever know there were so many names, really strange names, for bands? I didn't. So, here's a Jeopardy answer. Hot and dry, semi-arid, coastal, cold. Got the question? What are the 4 major types of desert? Yeah, hot and dry, which we would think like the Sahara. Semi-arid, a type of desert found in Greenland and other places. Semi-arid, that's Greenland. The Atacama Desert of Chile, which is a coastal desert, and cold desert, which would be found, of course, in Antarctica. 4 types of deserts. There you go. If the answer ever comes up on Jeopardy, you're good to go. Okay. In our gospel reading, Jesus has withdrawn into a deserted place. He has received the news that Herod has killed his cousin, John the Baptist, and Jesus withdraws into a wilderness place, presumably to grieve. And thus we have the setting for today's story, the desert, the wilderness. In Hebrew thought, the desert is connected to wandering and uncertainty. The children of Israel spent 40 years in the desert. During that time, they asked the important questions about life. Who are we? What is life all about? Where is our food and water to come from? Who will keep us safe? Who is the God who is leading us? Will he be faithful? Will he provide for us? In his poem, Desert Places, the poet Robert Frost describes a different kind of desert, the desert within. He acknowledges that he has within him his own desert places. In the poem, Frost is going past a field in wintertime where the ground is white with snow. As the snow falls, the field is being covered with layer of whiteness. It is a blank, white place with seemingly nothing there but a few weeds. The animals, as Frost says, are smothered in their lairs. The empty field mirrors for him his own frightening loneliness and longing. And then he says, "They cannot scare me with their empty spaces between stars, on stars where no human race is. I have it in me so much nearer home to scare myself with my own desert places." I believe Frost is saying something about all of us, We all have within us our own desert places, and they can be scary. We wonder, who can heal the hurt that I am feeling now? Jesus has gone into the wilderness, and the people follow him there. They come to him with all their questions. They come with their pain and heartbreak, uncertainty and loneliness, their fear and disappointment. And Jesus has compassion on them. He sets aside his own grief and he heals them, for he sees that they are harassed and helpless like sheep without a shepherd. It is in the wilderness that the children of Israel, in their 40 years of wandering, learn who they are, who God is, and who they are in relation to God. There, the Hebrews are formed into a people. They discover their uniqueness, their identity, and they learn who God is. God leads them with cloud and fire. He gives them commandments to show them how to live with each other and with God. He gives them sweet water from the rock. He provides manna and quail in the desert, food, and thus mortals ate the bread of angels. In the desert, the children of Israel learn that God is faithful, that God does provide, and they become his people, and he becomes their God. In the desert, Jesus heals the people, body and soul. But not only that, he provides food for them to eat. He gives them their daily bread. The disciples bring him 5 loaves and 2 fish. Jesus looks up to heaven and blesses the loaves. Now, this blessing is not some kind of magic formula, but an expression of praise and thanksgiving to God. Jesus is acknowledging that it is God who provides all that is necessary for human life. With this blessing, Jesus is putting his trust in God to give sustenance to the people. And God does. There is food enough for all. All the people eat and are filled, and there are baskets left over. Now, we don't know the mechanics of this miracle, and we don't need to. That's not the point. The point is that God has provided the people with everything they need, with healing of body and soul, and with food, broken, blessed and broken for them. So yes, God is faithful. When we look into our hearts and acknowledge our own desert places, those places of hurt and disappointment, those places of longing and loneliness, we know that God is the only one who can help us, who can heal us and make us whole. Whatever difficulty or trouble, whatever wilderness we are wandering in now, whatever uncertainties or questions we have about who we are and who God is, we know that God is with us and will walk with us through this trial. We can put our trust in God, for God is faithful. This story is often called the feeding of the 5,000, but that's something of a misnomer. It should be called the feeding of the 12. Early in the story, Jesus says to the disciples, "You give them something to eat." Then, after the bread is blessed and broken, Jesus gives it to the disciples, and the 12 distribute it to the people. Jesus feeds us so bountifully as we delve into his word and as we come to the table. And then Jesus says to us, "You give them something to eat." We are the distribution system, the only distribution system Jesus has. This summer, some of you joined others to build a house through Habitat for Humanity for a grandmother and her grandchildren. Others brought lunch. Others meet on Tuesday mornings to listen to people's stories and give them help. You are all part of the distribution system. One day, several weeks ago, Becky, one of the custodians here at St. John's, called me down to the kitchen. She had discovered 2 women sleeping outside the kitchen door on the cement. We went out and talked to them. They told us their story, and we listened. We made them sandwiches and directed them to the women's shelter at the rescue mission. They said that they had chosen that place to sleep because it was next to a church, and they thought they would be safe there. These 2 women, no doubt in the desert, came to us because we, the disciples of Jesus, are a safe place. Because they knew that somehow we have a God who is the answer to the big questions of life. Who are we? Who is God? Is God faithful? Will God provide? We know from our experience that God is faithful and does provide. As we go from this place, ourselves healed and fed and loved, we open our hearts in love to others and give them what we have been given so richly. Our food for today, wholeness of body, mind, and spirit. Hope, kindness, and faith in a God who loves us and continues to provide all that we need. Amen.